Sego. Hello everyone. This week for our budget meal series, we're going to be making egg fried rice. The ingredients we'll be using for this week's recipe include approximately 2 cups of leftover rice, 2 cups of mixed vegetables, or in this case we'll be using 1 can of peas and carrots. We're going to need 3 eggs, 2 tablespoons of sesame oil, and 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. In addition to the ingredients, there are a few other things from around the kitchen we're going to need to grab. These include either a frying pan or a wok if you happen to have one, a wooden spoon, a can opener, and measuring spoons, specifically 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon. Here you'll see the cost breakdown for this week's egg fried rice recipe. The total amount for this particular recipe is $2.92, and that includes our taxes. So let's go ahead and get started with this week's recipe. Here I've got my leftover rice. Ideally, to make fried rice, we want the rice to dry out as much as possible. So using leftovers is a perfect way to make fried rice. The first thing we need to do is turn our element on. I'm going to set this for now just to a low to medium heat, probably around a 3. And we need to add our sesame oil into our pan. We're just going to add 2 tablespoons of sesame oil into the bottom of our frying pan. Now, if you find you've got any sesame allergies at home, like we do, an alternative would be to use vegetable oil. Just swirl it around in your pan, make sure that it spreads out nice and even. And then we're just going to want to give it a minute or 2 just to let it warm up a little bit before we go on and move our rice into the pan. If you're cooking your rice fresh for this recipe, cook it ahead of time and then make sure you leave it to cool down and rest for at least a couple of hours. Because this has been in the fridge, it's cold and clumpy, so I'm just going to use my spoon here to break this up a bit. Now what we are going to want to do is basically just stir fry our rice for a few minutes. Depending on your preference, if you want the rice to be a little more crispy, you can cook it for longer. Basically until it has the consistency that you and your family prefer. So my rice has gotten nice and crispy. So what I'm going to do now is move the rice over to the edges of the pan, creating a spot for me to add in these eggs. And then I'm quickly just going to pop my 3 eggs into the pan. I see I got a tiny piece of a shell. Yep, okay, we took that out. Pretend you didn't see that happen. And now what we want to do is break up those yolks and just quickly stir and mix them around so that they scramble up. Slowly start to stir the eggs little by little in with the rice until we've got everything combined. So this can be a vegetarian meal. We use the eggs for the protein instead of meat. You could add meat in as well if you've got extras in the fridge. I'm just going to add in my peas and carrots now. Again, we're just using a can of peas and carrots today, but you could go ahead and really add in any kind of vegetables that you like. And just stirring that up, mixing it all around, making sure that those peas and carrots start to warm all the way through. And our last step here is just to add in the 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And again, we're just going to stir fry for a few minutes until everything has warmed through. Give it a good stir. Feel free to add in more soy sauce if you'd like. And there you go. You've got your egg fried rice. We hope you enjoyed this week's recipe, and until next time, Ona!